Well, g'day everybody. So good to be back. It's Saturday here, and it's the 30th, and I've still got this bloody cold. And there's some interesting stuff going on, but I haven't looked at the tracker at all. I got no idea what's happening there. Haven't looked since last night because just been doing stuff. Anyway, that's part of the fun. Sometimes I like doing that. Sometimes I like having a feel for what's going on, but sometimes I just come in cold. No pun intended. And there we go. So while we're waiting for a couple of people to come in, I'm going to go back. I put this freeze frame there. Oh, in fact, I'll just go the other way. No, I won't. Yeah, that's just to remember. I used to put these question boxes up on YouTube and Facebook to get everyone to send their questions in, and then we'd have a question and answer session. So there'd be a live directly answering those questions. They don't happen anymore because I do the questions at the end of the tracker. So it's only the people that come and watch the tracker actually get to ask questions, which is probably not so good in a way because some people don't want to sit through boring bits. I put this up for Graham. Come on, Graham. I haven't heard for a while. Are we beating Tracker or are we not? I haven't looked at the comparison for his speed. I know he flew through this leg and he went through the calm spot as well, but it'd be kind of fun. I should have actually, because I can do that without too much trouble, and I might even be able to, if we get some rough coordinates along the way, like every week or something, I can actually put his course on the tracker. So we can see where John Guswell was once he left Thursday Island, etc., 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 and see how the fleet's going by comparison to him. So a little project I thought of, I haven't mentioned to you, Graham, if you're watching this, we could try something like that. I know you got too much to do, fitting your Aries and going sailing and stuff, but good on you. That was just, this is my bounty boat. You've heard about it before, but it brought back a lot of memories when sailing past Kapang at the western end of West Timor. So that was where it all finished. So that was cool. And Gary arrived and threw in a plug for his passionate hate of electric outboards, which is really funny. But I can relate. I can feel for him because he was sort of cruising on the way back. And when you're cruising, you're always used to a motor and you get going. But the case of the 580, the way to look at it is you assume, for all intent and purposes, that the 580 has no motor. Right? It's a yacht. It's a little yacht. You can sail it like a dinghy if there's no wind, and you can sail it like a good sailor and with sound seamanship principles if you assume you have no engine. And that way you think, wow, isn't the electric engine so cool? Because when you need it, sometimes you've got this little bit of power and a little bit of electrical energy and you can push the boat into certain places. So you got to look at it coming from that direction because there's no way we'll ever allow petrol on the 580s. It's just not worth it. You'd be better off banning motors altogether and just sail the boat without a motor in it. And it creates challenges, but I think the best that John Guswell ever had at any time was a tiny little seagull outboard with like a 1.5 litre fuel tank on the top. So it's not uncommon, but good on you, Gary. Good job. We're going to miss you a little bit. So well done to get there. Pain in the ass getting into Darwin. And if you had to leave to carry on to Cocos, it would be even worse. Anyway, that's cool. Now I'm going to come back and I'm going to just put you onto the tracker, but I haven't got the tracker set up yet. I'm just coming straight onto the homepage. And g'day, John. G'day, Craig. So here we go. So there we're now live onto the Mini Globe Race site. Now, you all know where this is. This is on the opening page. It's the box of tricks. So there's the website there. And I'm just checking you're actually on that at the moment. Yes, you are. So am I. Okay. So when you scroll down, it sends you into certain things. But some of these boxes were never activated. And as I mentioned, at the bottom right-hand corner here, live Q&As with Don, it never happened. So that never activated. Entrant tweets, that never happened either because we've got so much stuff going on with Starlink and all the rest of it. The entrant tweets are just safety check-ins going to their managers, and they're supposed to do that once a day. So we don't actually get those tweets and we don't put them up online or on Instagram or Twitter, rather, or X. And that's a bit of a loss in some ways because a very good way to keep up with what's going on. So I'm going to review that, especially once they leave Cocos, because we don't get anything from some entrants. We never get anything from Pila. We get virtually nothing from. We get occasional stuff from Josh. We get reasonable stuff from. Virtually nothing from Renault. We get a little bits, and so it goes. Some of the very thing. And so I think we're going to actually ramp that up a bit, and we're going to make it mandatory that we get a few sentence tweet, a text from the entrant or the entrance manager every other day, because they're going into serious challenges ahead. They might not be able to use their Starlink and all the rest of it, and we want to have a pre-established way of keeping up with them. So we're probably going to reactivate the entrant tweets. I'll make decisions between now and Caucus. Race results are there. Onboard footage is probably the compiles that Jane does. Entrant Facebook updates. Now, some people might not even know this exists. If you hit that on the website, we've got a direct feed, right? A condensed feed to all of the entrants in the race, right? So you've got their Facebook channel there. So you go there and you get their latest post, right? The whole lot. You can just scroll down and look at them all, right? There's Gary's just arrived, Christian talking about his bits, Jacob doing a foreign language version, one Polish language video, and so it goes. Renault's bit there. So you've got a direct link to all their individual Facebook pages if you don't want to get onto Facebook. You might not be a member of Facebook, but you can still do it here. So you don't have to be on Facebook to see their Facebook posts. You can do it off the website, which is really cool. But many don't know that features exist, or they've forgotten, and so on. So entrant phone calls. Now, this is an interesting one because we've been locked out at the moment. The last call was some time ago. You'll see here it was week 10. We didn't have a lot of follow-on. There was only roughly between 10 to 20 people listening into each SoundCloud recording that was talking with Graham. So then we got really busy and it faded away a bit. Now we're having trouble getting back on. Jane's going to do some condensation of some of those calls and put them on YouTube, so you'll be able to follow those calls. And later on, we can't get in at the moment. It might be because we're on a VPN. I'm not sure. There's some issue going on. We may try and resurrect that. But if you look at historically, some people were, Ayrton was getting 5 people, others were getting 10, 20, maybe 11, because it takes a bit of effort to do all that. It's great for Graham. He gets the information to do the updates, but it takes a lot more to get that online and so on. So we didn't think it was going, but we've had a few people asking. So we're going to try and do a few bits there. I'm leading up to the best one in a minute. Graham's weekly reports. You can see them. You know that they're all there on file in an index form. So if you want to read the book or the long version of the book, you can just go there. And when Brian sends us one, and Frank's sort of given up, but I might coax him back into it. Brian's got stuff there as well, but the regular one is Graham's reports. Okay. Then still coming up to the best one. The tracker, we've got. The boat tours, we've got. That just links to the YouTube channel. And then here's what most people don't even know exists. And I feel sorry for Rob, because he does this religiously. Now, this is a condensed version. If you've been away for a month and you want to know what's happening, you can get onto the race timeline, and you'll see this flows down, right? So the 26th, which was a few days ago, Gary Swindle retires, light winds, hold his arrival through, though his MGR ends here. He reflects on what's happening, and there's a link to the leg 2 interview. Christian Sawyer remains 7th position. So it's a condensed story, right, of the whole race and all the key things that are happening on different days, 25th, 23rd. Rob just puts this together virtually every day, picks the story for the day, and if there's a few things happening, he's got it up there. So again, this is if you want to go back and say what was happening on leg 2, you can go right back here and say what was on May. Oh, excuse me. Dan Turk leaves for Fiji. Kerry Harris and Pila leave for Fiji. You can, if you're looking for the facts or get the timeline, you go all the way back. So Shelter Bay Marina, Ayrton Biscotti's finishes, believes he was last due to tracker issues. Joshua's there, blah, blah, blah. So that timeline is really cool. If you're looking to find something in a hurry or you're not sure what happened, it's very easy to follow it down. Rob does a good job of that. So remember, that's there. I think latest news is straightforward. Tracker updates, that's on YouTube. Got that. Okay, that's about all. So now we'll go to live. I'll get to there by just hitting that. Okay, we're coming up to the tracker. That took us 10 minutes. So anyway, but at least you'll remember some of the features that are there, and you can tell your mates. Remember to like and share and subscribe and all those things that help us make it in the real world. So here we go. Okay. Oh boy, I'm feeling like rubbish. Okay. So people are on the move. That's the good thing. Certainly the lead pack's still on the move. We'll get rid of the leaderboard. We don't really need the leaderboard yet. Okay, so there it is. Pretty much the same as yesterday. The thing's updated. Yep, that's relatively good. 404. Yep, 404. Yep, we're up to the real world. Just waiting for the wind. Wind. Come on. Jeepers. Okay. Rightio, get that up there. Okay, still very light winds for the tail enders. And we were thinking yesterday that the breeze might have filled in by now and they'd get a move on. No one's complaining about the pleasant sailing at all. They're enjoying the ride, calm seas. Josh, 1.8 knots, and did only 40 miles in the day. But it would have been very pleasant. Burton, 2.5 knots, 59-mile day. He spoke to a boat that's heading to Cocos, and the guy on the boat told him that some of the best diving in the world is at the back of West Island in Cocos. And I said to Earth, I've never been there. I said, okay, that's fair enough, but watch the currents because he's on the outside of the lagoon there. So that's interesting. I'll probably follow that up a bit. 1.7 knots for Jazz, doing 34 miles. Yep, they're all just drifting around. 2.2, 62 for Eric. And Eric got run down the other night. He sent me a tweet. I'll try and, if I remember this. The boat came to within 200 metres of him. He said it was very close. 200 metres in the ocean to another boat is very close. So he said, yep, it was too close. Anyway, Christian, 2 knots, doing 48 miles for the day. Jacob, wow, still drifting along. 1.9 knots, 38-mile day. Adam, 3.3 knots, 47-mile day. So the whole deal here is pretty much the same. No one's made any big moves. They're just plodding along. However, Pila is doing 6.6 knots and 145-mile day. So she pulled out 100 miles from the back of, the mid-fleet and the back fleet. I think we could still call Adam and Jacob the mid-fleet. Yeah, that's crazy. 6.6 and 145, well and truly in the trades, with a bit of current, I'd say. Kerry still lagging a little bit, relatively, 5.9 knots, 149. That's not bad. 149 versus 145. Dan, 136. Kerry's doing okay. 5.6. And Renault, 5.7, 140. So Kerry's cracked it today in the last 24 hours, 4 miles faster than anyone else in the lead group in the last 24 hours. So they're certainly having good sailing. Now, the thing that comes to mind for me straight away when I see those numbers is the current. So we'll look at the current before we look at the wind. Nothing dramatic, but it's still consistent. Okay. Excuse me. There's no head currents or anything. Renault's going to reach the other bit in front if it holds. Pila's, that's what she's got going for her. She's had a bit of a lift there. Kerry probably would have had a lift up until now. That's just a little blip, and that graphic may not be right. It's often not right within 200 miles of itself. It gives a general indication. Well, someone was asking me the other day, where does the data come from? It's all out of satellite data integration and so on. And what they used to use in the past was all to do with sea surface temperature, because the base temperature is known, and then when the currents are moving, it brings the water off and brings it up to the surface, and they can get an indication of where the thermal not thermal inclines, but where the gradients are, spreading out along the surface. So often it's the temperature. If there's any buoys out there that'd help, there would be some buoys out there, but not too many drifting buoys that give salinity, sunlight, temperature, air pressure. They don't do wind, but they get all the key data, all that sort of stuff. So there'd be a few of them drifting around. But currents, they're reasonably accurate, but not too accurate. That's the best way to describe it. So you can see everyone's up in the right spot up there. Not worried about pirates, but there you go. Excuse me. We'll come back to the wind. Oh, no, we didn't give you the currents for the next 24 hours. Hang on. I'm just going to drag that through. That's near enough. Boom. Still, jeepers, picked up where Jacob is. Quick turn a little bit, Jacob. Just go with the current. Boom, boom. That's not too bad. That's 24 hours. And that's the next 24 hours, yeah, there's a big one there. Christian should do all right with that if he just pulls down a bit. Adam's a bit above it at the moment, and Peeler's going to get the best bit. 2 days, no, they'll be Renault will be into this lot by then, so they're all looking pretty good. They're going to get a boost, but um, there you go. The wind is going to be the decider, though, as it always is. And I'll come down a little bit so that we can see the whole fleet scenario. There's still this big shadow here, and imagine trying to sail out of Darwin. Total nightmare. Because it's been sitting there for days, and it usually is. It's only usually about sort of 4 days. 4 days in 12, you get a breeze in there. The rest of the time, it's sitting with nothing. Okay, I haven't got the keyboard here, so I'm just going to pull it through a bit. There is nothing exciting there. That's the next day. Yes, it's coming through. So they've still got, the back enders have still got another day. It's going to be possibly a day before it starts to get them moving with any substance, and then they're out of it. They're basically over it. Yeah, that's it. So I thought they were going to get away with it today. I thought it'd be over, but they're still going to be struggling for another day or so, and then it's going soft again. That's on the 4th, so that's 3 days away. Let's see if Josh is doing 50 miles, it's 200 miles. Ooh, jeepers. Josh might be at the tail end of the light stuff in the end. They might get away with it. That's after us for 4 days. Oh, no, well, it depends. But anyway, they've got to get moving and get over here. The lead pack will be up here in the plenty of breeze in 3 or 4 days, so speeds are going to increase. Let's work out a rough ETA now. I was saying, when I looked 10 days ago, I thought they would be in next Sunday. Oh, hang on. Next Sunday. And now I reckon they're going to do at least 120-mile days. So that's 6, 7, 17 to 14, 7, 8, 7, 8. That'll be about 8 days. So it's still looking like Sunday next week. It's Saturday here now. So somewhere at the end of the weekend, they're the lead boat. We might see the first lead boat there. So that's pretty cool. And then we'll assess their overall speed and work out how long they're going to have there. But now, how far behind are the others? Ooh, jeepers. Josh is now 832 miles behind. At 100 miles a day, that's 8 days behind so far. It's not so bad. I was saying yesterday, thinking, that's not so good. But it's not just from Thursday Island. That's actually from Fiji. So if you put that into context, by the time they get here, it was like, I think it was 2,000 something to 2,000 to Thursday Island, and then 2,700, so 4,700. So it's nearly 5,000 miles. And so by the time they get there, if they're within 8 days after 5,000 miles, it's not so bad. Not so bad. Okay, I think that's all I can show you here now. Is it sunny for them? And we'll... where's the sun? Clouds. Boom. Yep, sunny for everyone. Flat seas. We can look at the sea, but we know it's flat because there's no swell. Everything I was predicting for the guys was exactly true. And now the leaders are getting back into the swells. This is the whole new ocean here now, and they're just on the outer edge. They've come out of the Arafura Sea, and they're now going to interact with all the serious stuff. And while we're here, let's just have a look at where they're going to go and what sort of weather is happening going forward. And you'll see how different it gets. Up in these latitudes, it's still pretty much trade winds. When you get to here, you're still running through the trade winds, but if you get a big system down the bottom here, it can upset the trades. You get a big, bloody low pressure system will extend up in here, and you can get southwesterlies, which is where they want to go. So the game plan, if you don't remember it from last time, my advice to them all is if you can make easy southing, stay to the south of the rum line, and you only ever approach Mauritius from the east, or preferably even the southeast if you've got the time, because you can still get southwesterlies there, strong ones. And if you look at John Guswell and a few other small boat voyages, that's exactly what they get. And this is the tricky area. We're still month or so, September, October. We're still 2 months away, so the seasonal weather's not quite right, but it's already doing what it usually does. If I move this across, you'll see here you've got the Southern Ocean systems pushing through. All of a sudden, you've got headwinds there. If we just pick that up, coming down the coast from Durban, nice stiff headwind. It's not a big system, but it's just pushing through. and then you've got a break. Okay, so you can sail down if you're lucky, but they don't usually last that long. So you've got to make the most of it. Let's just see. There's one day. That's okay, but look what's coming here. See, you've got the easterly, which will turn into a westerly, rather, which will turn into a southwesterly. So you're roaring down here. There's a bit of a calm in between. You've got to try and get through that and get in before it goes to the southwest. So bingo. So there it is, the southwest. And this was a mild one, right? And what I've told them is, so you get here, you got a big southwesterly. All you can do is turn around and run with it and go all the way back to Durban if you have to. And you've got to stay right inshore, away from the Gullis Current, which only leaves you got a window of about a mile or so to run up the coast to try and get back into port. So there's some serious challenges ahead, and let's wait and see. Okay, I think that's about it. I'll go here and say g'day and see who's here. Okay, g'day John, Craig, David, Christine. Good evening. Thanks for the stuff on Gary. Vietnamese Lantern Festival. There's always something going on in Darwin. Oh, Guy, I won't say who you are. I know who you are. People will eventually. Diving with manta rails northwest of Direction Island, and there's a great drift snorkel in the channel to the south of Direction. I'd walk 3 from the anchorage. Some of the info we gave them as well, so they're going to have a bit of fun. I've never been there. I've never done that league. But a lot of people talking about it. But that's cool. Good to see you, Guy. Glad to see you watching, keeping us honest. Alenka, oh yay, catching you live for a change. Oh, good on you, Alenka. You should be working on your boat. Oh, well. Anyway, Don, you mentioned a few times that the Indian Ocean before a whole new game. Could you please explain how so? Well, basically, all the way from. In fact, I'll go back to the track because this is a really big point. I cannot understate what's going on here. We'll go back to the tracker and we'll set this down. Shrink it down. Sorry, I'm going to go back here. Right. Okay, so I haven't got leg 3 and stuff here, but I could do leg 1. Hang on, let's see if this swaps over. I probably didn't need to do that. But I'm just going to explain. Okay, leg 1. Well, you know, from Antigua to Panama is pretty much trade wind. So the wind is always behind you. You've got confused seas, naughty seas, and so on, but it doesn't get epic, huge stuff. It just gets short, nasty stuff, right? Then when you get on to leg 2, we'll see how this comes up. Waiting. Come on. That wasn't a good idea. I should have gone without the track. Anyway, here it comes. Okay, leg 2 is the same again. This is the milk run. There's stories of people that have gone cruising, like cruising boats, the ultimate dream, buy your 40-footer, leave America, come down here, they sail across the trade wind, across the Pacific, make their way to Marquesas, and it's like, wow, they've never gone more than one reef in the mainsail, right? Never more than one reef in the mainsail. Think about that. And then they carry on to French Polynesia. You might get to put a second reef in if you're lucky, because it gets a bit confused and so on. But you don't get like 5, 6, 7 meter seas, right? And you certainly very rarely, when you get headwinds, they don't last long. They're usually light, unless it's in a squall. You can get really strong headwinds in a squall and big wind waves, 3, 4 meters, maybe 5. You do get a residual swell coming up, but it's still reasonably organised, and it's still basically the milk run. This is the easiest way to get around the world, right? And that's why everyone does them. And you're seeing a classic textbook style of what's happening now with the 580 fleet. I mean, they've all had their gruesome weather and tough going, but this is the perfect weather. If you ask Jimmy Cornell, if you plan your circuit around the world, you shouldn't even get a big storm if you're lucky. So then you come from French Polynesia around to Fiji or to Tonga. That's pretty good. Tonga to Fiji is your first hint of some really funny stuff. Anything can happen there because you've got the interaction with the Tasman ear and you're close to the Tasman sucks up all the big low and high pressure systems from the Southern Ocean, and they get drawn up in between the gap here. And so they reach quite high and they can interact with the swells. That's why you get cloud break, is one of the best breaks in the world for surfing because the low pressure swells go up here. So it's starting to get interesting. When you leave Fiji, you're back on the milk run again, okay? And you come across here, it's exactly what we saw. The wind is virtually always blowing in the right direction. You've got some navigation challenges in the reef. Get into Thursday Island, get out of there, and then it's exactly as I told everyone. I said, get used to rough water. The Arafura Sea is really confused, short, steep, wind waves, shallow, currents, really uncomfortable, lots of traffic, fishing boats, and bloody hazards everywhere, blah, blah, blah. So not much sleep, but the weather, generally, it's not nasty. You get knocked down and all that sort of stuff, but it's okay. It's still the milk run. And now they're coming across here, and they're still sailing out of the Arafura Sea, Timor Sea, and into the Indian Ocean. Now, this is the Indian Ocean proper, okay? And if we can't get the weather there, I'm going to go 1-3. This won't take long, but probably some people are interested in the same deal here. Stand by because I want to get the weather up. Okay, so excuse me. So here's the deal, and we're still 2 seasons away. They're going to be down here in November, all right? They'll be transiting down here in November. And that, believe it or not, is the best time of the year to be there. You want to be arriving here in early December. And there's a relatively narrow window of about 6 weeks. You've got to get in and out, otherwise you're going to get... Whereas at the moment, you'll see a favourable northeasterly wind maybe for a week or 5 days or something. Then it'll turn around and you'll get maybe 3 or 4 days southwesterly or westerly or something, not too heavy. By the time you get into November, they're getting a bit more intense because the low pressure system's coming up from the bottom here. They're going around the lows and the highs. There's a continual succession of low pressures. There's high pressures. There's a high pressure there, right? That's the South Atlantic high. It'll move across to the west. And then underneath that and between that, there'll be a low pressure. This is sort of one here. And they come higher and higher, and they do a big squeeze there. And if we haven't seen any there, but I'll try and find one here. Okay, you can see here, this is a high pressure, so that's kind of good. The highs are high, but as it gets closer around, the lows could come up here, and you get a wind that's going around the other way. I haven't got one there yet. And so you can, the day of the trade wind is virtually over, right? There's high pressure, so that's a good situation. This is the time of the year. And you've got the breeze that's pushing you down to Durban. That's really good. But you can see here, this low, if that goes a lot higher, you're going to get, that's 40 knots in here, gusting 40. And if that goes higher, you're going to get a 40-knot southwesterly wind right on the nose for a 580 with probably 5 to 6 metre seas, and it's not nice, right? And so you've then got to decide what you want to do. And you cannot take the opinion that I have to get through to Durban, I have to keep going and try and smash your way through and this, that, and other. You either got to run with it and tow warps and turn around, or you've got to try and run across it and go somewhere else. You've got to look at tactics and weather and route, your routing plan and keeping ahead of it and sailing to the weather systems rather than the rum line, because at the moment people are sailing to the rum line and take whatever weather they get. That all changes, and it can change from the time they leave Cocos. Somewhere between here and here, halfway across, you've got to be really alert. And if I was coming across here, I wouldn't want to, by the time I got there, I wouldn't want to be any further north than due east. I'd be halfway across that. I wouldn't want to be any higher than due east towards Mauritius, because if it comes in, at least you might hold one tack. And if you see something coming, while you can do it, try and get as far south as you can. Then you can pay off a bit to go down here. So this is a whole new ballgame. They're going to have to look at the weather, make decisions, talk between themselves, talk to their managers and all that sort of stuff. They're not allowed to get weather routing and get told where to go. But game's over. It's not the milk run anymore. You look at all the little boat journeys across this part of the world, and this is where it gets serious. So I have no doubt that every one of the skippers and every one of the boats is able to do it, but it's a game changer. Yeah, so that's the easiest way I can explain it. When you leave Cape Town, it's pretty cool because the South Atlantic high always sits here and it moves across to the east, and then another one forms and so on. And as you do that, once you get out of here, you can still get hammered that first sort of week or so out of Cape Town, and many people do. But once you get out of there, then you're back into the trade winds again, and then it's trade winds across the South Atlantic, and then it's trade winds across back to the National Sailing Academy in Antigua. So that's why we've got this route. And if you remember, originally the course was to take the boats back to Portugal, but this is all on the nose because you've got the 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 Azores high that hits here, which creates the headwinds. And so everyone in the GGR and the OGR, they hate this because you're hard on the nose. You've got to try and push your way up and you stay close to the other side. Anyway, that was a long answer for a simple question, but I hope that makes sense. So yeah, everything changes. Everything changes. Jump in. Anyone taking you up on the camping trip idea? I'm talking to two people, but we'll wait and see. It's the mate of ours that's doing it is really cool. It's one of the things he does for a living. He works with various people, and it all started because I said, "Hey, I got 5 days, so I can squeak off. Let's bugger off." And he said, "Yep, that's cool. We can do it." He worked it out. Oh, we'll go up to Namibia, and we'll do this, that, and the other. And I said, "We've got to leave at 2 o'clock in the morning," and blah blah blah. And then we've been talking about it a bit, and over the course of the thing, I said, "Hey, someone else might want to do this because it's quite fun." And he said, "Well, we can get a couple of cars and let people come with us, all supplied." I said, "Well, let's give it a try. We don't care whether anyone comes or not. We're going." Jane and I and Cam, we'll be out there having a bit of fun. And I just thought, it could be cool. So, but no one really knows what it is yet because I said to Cam, I said, "Look, put it together, work out the budget, all that sort of stuff, work out the exact itinerary, where we're going." And I said, "You got 2 weeks. And then once we've got that, we can put it on the table. We're not making any money. Cam's not making any money. We're just doing this as a bit of fun." So it's a self-propelled MGR safari. And I hope I'm not the tastiest person in the pack. So we'll wait and see. I've got a feeling it'll be quite a bit of fun. Camping trip, not 5-star. Anyway, are you going to the South End of the Boat Show? No, we're not. We don't have a budget for any of that. And in fact, Jane's here trying to get a Cape Town visa. She's tried it twice before for the GGR and the OGR and couldn't do it. So now we're here. And so her passport's locked up for the next 3 to 5 weeks while waiting for the South African visa. So I go back to France, and then I've got a lot going on. We've got the launch of the GGR press conference and OGR as well, press release, and sorting out Explorer and stuff. So everyone's busy. Anyway, so we won't be at the show, sadly. Okay. In fact, I don't know the dates. I'm going to be in England because I'll be there checking out the boat. Okay, that's enough. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. Turns out I'm leaving here late at 5 o'clock on Monday, so I will be here hopefully tomorrow unless I'm coughing too much, and then the same on Monday. But then I'll be off the air for a day or so. So we'll see how we go. See you later. See you later. Thank you.